Hi, this is Kris Barrett, and in today's video, we are going to have a chat and explore the link between food, behaviour, and learning. So this is a really big one because there can be some really profound differences. Now, I could literally talk about this all day, and sometimes I do because I do seminars on it. So this is a really brief overview for you and give you some things to go and research and think about. First of all, I want you to think about food. Food is not just calories. Food is actually information, and it talks to our DNA and it tells us what to do. So it's really important that we've got good food going in. So we've got good messages going to our DNA and everything is doing what it should. So here is the quickest gut brain lesson you'll ever get. So I want to talk to you about the link between the gut and the brain, because you might think, why is she saying that there's a link between food and behavior? Because surely what we take, we eat food and behavior is something totally different. So I want to talk to you about the gut and the brain. In recent years, there's been a lot of research saying that our gut is our second brain, that there's a lot of the nerves that are in our brain that are also in our gut. And the gut and the brain are actually connected by the vagus nerve. So if this is something sort of hard for you to get your head around, just have a think about when you drink wine or any sort of alcohol. You take it into your gut, but where do you feel the effects? You feel that in your head, in your brain. So think about too some of those things that we've just said forever, things about, trust your gut. Think about when you're worried about something, you get that sick feeling in your stomach, or if you're nervous, you get those butterflies and things in your stomach. So sometimes, people will get, headaches and things going wrong in the signals in the brain, and then they're feeling nauseous as well. Okay, so that whole gut brain, what affects one affects the other. So what you're thinking can affect your gut, and what's happening in your gut can affect your behavior and your thinking and what's going on in your brain. So if we just take that there is that really important gut-brain connection, let's have a look at why things can go a little bit wrong, and the brain might not be getting the right signals from the food that your child is eating. So I want to talk to you about a concept called leaky gut. Now, in a normal gut, and when you're digesting food, just say you're digesting food and it's all to the body, it's all a big sequence of information. But just say you've swallowed something and your digestive system, it might have been 20 paper clips long, for example, and your digestive system breaks it down, all the enzymes, all the vitamins and minerals, breaks it down into something that's one paper clip long. And then your body can assimilate it. Your body goes, oh, I know what to do with that. That's all cool. I can assimilate those vitamins and use those minerals and all the rest of it. Now, that's assuming that your gut barrier is intact. So we have these sort of little hairs and things on our gut lining, which act as a barrier for us. So it keeps it's like a wall, keeps the bad guys out, but lets the good guys through if they should be through. When that's compromised, we have what's called a leaky gut. So that means that wall is permeable and things can go through the wall that shouldn't go through the wall. It also means the digestion is compromised. So instead of digesting that food from 20 paper clips long, it might only digest it down to 13 paper clips long. And then that gets into the gut. And instead of it being stopped right there, the leaky gut wall lets it through and says, hey, come on in. And then the immune system says, hang on, you're 13 paper clips long. I don't know what to do with you. I only know how to deal with things that are one paper clip long. So you must be a foreign invader, and therefore I'm going to mount an immune response. And so we just get this whole scenario happening of the body not getting the right messages from the food, from it being unable to get any value from the food. So the nutrients and the vitamins and things aren't able to be assimilated either. So, and it just becomes chaos. So it literally all those proteins then enter the bloodstream. Once they're in the bloodstream, they're running around, they're crossing the blood-brain barrier, and we're getting mixed messages to the brain. So that's a very, very, very high level overview of what can be going on. And the fact that, you know, even if your child is eating what you consider to be really healthy food and a really varied diet, if the gut lining and the gut barrier is not at full integrity, the proper information won't be getting through. Now, there's a lot of things that can cause that gut lining to be compromised. One of them is antibiotics, long-term use antibiotics, bacteria overgrowth. So we all need bacteria in our gut, but it needs to be in a good balance. So we need the good guys and the bad guys, because the good guys are sort of keeping all the bad guys out. And do you remember that it was a Yoplait ad on TV ages ago, and you had the good bacteria and the bad bacteria on a seesaw? And so that's what our bacteria need to do. We need to have them in balance. But when the bad guys take over, it just chaos reigns within, you know, that leaky gut. And then we have viruses and all sorts of other things that are able to get in the gut as well. Again, this is a whole seminar that we can, and a whole course that I can teach about the foods and what's going wrong with focus and concentration and behavior and all the rest of it. But I just want to talk to you, and I want you to just consider these, maybe go and have a look in your cupboard for any foods that contain these, and certainly Google it as well. I want to talk to you about a couple of additives that are probably in your everyday food. That could be causing real problems with your child's behavior or learning. Now, I get really passionate about this because it really irks me, because these additives are already banned in Europe because they're being proven to be unsafe. However, in Australia and in the US, they're still allowed in our food and in our children's food, which really, really upsets me. But anyway, calm. So the first one is an additive called caramel 3, and it also goes by the number 150C. Now, the food manufacturers are very tricky. They'll sometimes label it with its big, long scientific name. Sometimes they'll just use its abbreviation. Sometimes they'll use a number. So we have to become label detectives. So I just want you to have a look in your cupboard and see if there's anything in there with 150C or caramel 3. Now, it is used in a lot of muesli bars and cookies and maybe breakfast cereals and things like that. So odds are you might have it on your shelf. Now, it's just a horrible, horrible additive that actually the material data sheets will say causes hyperactivity. So who needs that in our kids' food? And honestly, I've worked with people over the years, and literally we've just cut out the foods with that particular additive in it, and their child's behavior has just, you know, normalized. So it can be really simple. Food can be, you know, a big, complex, scary area to look at, but it can be really simple. And I'm not saying that you have to stay home and grow your own food and eat mung beans and things. Just be aware and look on the labels for different brands that don't have the horrible additives. So that's number one. Number two is MSG. Now, I want you to Google other names for MSG, and if you haven't ever Googled that before, you're going to be shocked. There are so many names for MSG, and it's found in over 10,000 foods on the supermarket shelves. One of the names that you'll come across fairly often, again, in your muesli bars, cookies, breakfast cereal, breakfast spreads, is yeast extract. Okay, now don't be fooled. It's sometimes called hydrolyzed vegetable protein. So that sounds healthy, right? That sounds okay, but it's really not. So just Google that other list of foods. Now, MSG is a really, really nasty. The material data sheets show that MSG is linked to behavioral problems, learning difficulties, headaches, asthma, all sorts of horrible allergic reactions as well. So for a lot of adults, they might experience that MSG and get a migraine or come out in hives or something. Sometimes for our kids, it's literally coming out in the behavior or their inability to focus and concentrate. So again, don't need to bunker down and never venture out to the supermarket. But if you're aware that these two things can be really, really negatively impacting on your child's focus, behavior, and learning, then you can just choose a different brand. So there's plenty of options now. So it's all about just being aware and making those choices. But food and looking after the gut can have a really big impact on how your child behaves and learns. So something I'm really passionate about, and I'd love for you to explore it. So any questions, feel free to get in touch with us. Please subscribe down below, ring the little bell so you're notified of the next video in the series, and we will talk to you again soon. Bye.